Hello all, welcome back to another video about my second trip out to Moab. This video covers top of the world again, and due to the storms and high waters in the Moab area this year, we're going to call the second half of this River Surprise, or How I Swamped My Jeep. That was rolling. I have a lot more prep info about how to get out to top of the world in another video, but a few highlights here. We all made it out, and my buddy Morgan here in the yellow Bronco you're going to see in a sec right there. This was his first time out doing some real wheeling, and man, was he excited. But I don't think he quite all knew what was in store for today. Alright, so we made the trek out to the trailhead and hit it. I was last here 16 months ago, and I see why everyone in the area gets so frustrated. There were more bypasses, and they were wider than I remember. Ugh. So anyway, gotta take the gatekeeper here, up to the right of course. Everyone follows me up. My buddy Ruslan's oldest son, Philip, was my passenger this trip. Again, I don't think Philip quite knew what he was in for here as well. So I had the added bonus, though, of actually getting some external shots of me bumbling around. I was out here this year on my same Wild Peak AT3W 35-inch tires on the 4.5-inch lift, which was an additional 2 inches of suspension lift, more than I had back in 2023 when I first came out. Yeah, every inch helps. Giggity. Morgan here with the Bronco posed an interesting challenge on the way out. I like safety. We all drove out here, so I made sure he picked up a set of the Buster Brace tie rod stiffeners just to be safe. No issues. And here's Paul rolling right through. Paul met us actually at the trailhead. We always love company with, so we invited him on with us. We were making pretty good time. Within an hour or so, we were at the big climb on the way out to the Lollipop. We worked ourselves up pretty quick here, but at the top, we looked off to the left side of the trail and noticed yet again there was a huge bypass that was created. I don't remember seeing that last year. It was huge, like 2 vehicles wide and almost like switchbacked up the side. What a total waste. Ugh. Again, props to Philip here for getting some non-Jeep mounted camera footage of me walking up the obstacle here. Everyone was crawling out to the ledge today. Ruslan and Den brought their boys on this trip with them, and they all had these awesome RC crawlers. They were pretty fast actually, and were able to climb pretty much anything they wanted them to. Here they're keeping up with us rolling through. Ruslan and Den did a crazy amount of wheeling back home, and it's an activity that their entire family gets into. When safe and open, of course, their boys took the wheel and they taught them how to crawl around, how to be spotted, and for the older boys, how to start good spotting skills. Here they are crawling up a little ledge here, taking a right-hand turn to start the Lollipop. As we headed down the west side of the Lollipop toward the ledge, I popped out front quick and then got to the end and sent up the drone to catch the group making their way back up. The view from the top was of course iconic and awesome, but honestly, I think the view driving back down is a whole different kind of awesome. That sky and the view for miles and miles is a great way to return back to the trailhead on top of the world. And of course, here we are at the top. My second trip up to the lookout was just as jaw-dropping and awe-inspiring as the first time I got up here. Alright, you guys have to suffer through a minute or two of some awesome shots here. Here we go. Alright, one more quick lookout story before we start whipping down the mountain here. So, I'm absolutely petrified of heights, guys. I had shot out in front of the group, so I'm up here alone. Here I am getting up to the edge. I lose the edge over the top of the hood. I put it in park, take about a breath and a half, slam it in reverse, and back up a few feet. Oh, palms are sweaty, mom's spaghetti, man. Holy moly. So I'm following Morgan and the Bronco down the hill here. And remember when I said this was his first real trail? Well, you know, you gotta sometimes just break it in right style. Here we go. Now, the bumpers in all the Jeeps are some all varying thicknesses of steel. I had assumed the upgraded Bronco had the same, but nope, aluminum. That ledge gave that bumper a little facelift, popping that license plate out of the holder. So we disconnected that electrical connector and had a little pose for the camera. Wavy, wavy. Hey, psst, don't tell Nikki, but Morgan wanted to upgrade that bumper anyways. Go, GoPro super wide angle. My tire is not that wide. Poor Jeff had no end of issues with his new Hydro Assist steering ram. We ended up removing it on the trail eventually anyway, and just putting his steering stabilizer back in. And here we go. Here's Jeff back in action. Back with us, mere mortals, strong-arming our steering wheels with both hands instead of just using a single finger. But yes, of course I'd put Hydro Assist in when I get the chance. Yeah, why do you ask? So it's after lunch at this point. We all smelled like ATF, and we were all ready for the next trail. So we quickly come down the big obstacle in the middle here. One by one we head down, and you know, hindsight being 2020, we hadn't realized that Morgan was wheeling with his front sway bars connected. So a new note to the new Bronco wheelers, definitely look into some sway bar disconnects, so your IFS is going to trip up you a little bit. There was a little bit of a pucker factor here coming down. We had a couple Bronco leg lifts that made us all go, whoa! Alright here, so we're done with top of the world, and we get back to the trailhead, and we start talking about choosing between taking Rose Garden Hill down to Onion Creek, or going to eat lunch down Gold Mine Road by the Dolores River. The river it is. Now, this is where this video brings up some trauma for me, so hold tight. Last year, we had crossed this river a couple times with very little incident. This is actually a forest road, so I'm not going to call it maintained, but it's definitely recognized as a crossing with ins and outs on both sides. I start out from the sandbar to cross, and I notice the water is a little higher than I remember it from last year. But this crossing looks long in the video here, but it's the wide angle of the lens. It's actually not that bad. So we throw it in 4 low and slowly start creeping out across the river. We're getting a little closer. It's getting a little deeper, starting to hear the water glug on the bottom. That's normal. A little further, a little deeper, then we start to droop a little bit. Now this is an actual forest road, so I'm not going to call it maintained again, but it's crossable. But right here at the end, all of a sudden, there's a little gap in that river rock. The floods, I think, had pulled it away, so we slam on the gas and pop up the other side here. This is clearly too deep for the rest of the group, so Philip and I start back, but now we're pointed up against the current, and whoa, too deep, stop, back it up, get back up on the side. Now we got to figure out what we're going to do here. Knowing the area half decently, there really aren't many other crossings here, and trying to get back across the river without a direct crossing is just darn near impossible. There's one lesser deep crossing after the river bend down a way, so Philip and I hop in the Jeep, take off, and tell the others to meet us there. This is where I messed up. I started out before they got there. Again, this is a forest road. It's not maintained, but it's a forest road, so there is enough of a base here to get across, except for when there's floodwaters that start stripping stuff out. Before I know it, I am in silt. I turn on both lockers, try to back myself in and out. Here it is right here. Clunk. I'm in and I'm trapped. I start slowly sawing the wheels back and forth a bit, slowly back and forth, slowly forward, slowly backward, just trying to get any traction I can. Nothing. Now, the water is starting to come in past the door seals. The inevitable is setting in. I'm sunk, and I have no idea when the rest of the party is going to get there. They've got an easily 15-20 minute drive, and I'm out of radio range. I look at Philip, and I say, oh man, I don't know what to do. So we stop, and we think. Philip runs in the back, bless his heart, starts pulling all my stuff off the floor. Here's the party, they're showing up. At this point, I've been in the water 20-25 minutes, just stopped. I had radio contact quickly, but I eventually shut the thing off because the water was kind of coming up and down, and it was high on the driver's side. Here, oh god, it's just full. So I shut the engine off. I knew the diffs were flooding. I knew everything was sucking in, but at this point, I can fix all that stuff. I can't fix a hydrolocked engine, so off she went. Ruslan strips down to his skivvies and jumps in the river, starts running over with a strap. Philip throws me the camera. I threw it up on the dash. I had no idea it was still recording. But eventually, at about the 45th minute, the 2 winches came in. I start moving. The suction's broken. Wheel starts moving. Jeep is still off, so I'm fighting the wheel a little bit. But here you can see both lines pulling on me. We slowly start slinking the Jeep out of the silt hole, across the river, and up on the bank on the other side. At this point, like I said, it's been about 45 minutes in the water. I've gone through most of the stages of grief by this point. My buddies are with me. They're helping me out of this jam I got myself in. All I can do is start laughing when we open the doors and there's a solid minute of water pouring out. We pull all the CAN bus connectors, spray them out with contact cleaner, let them dry, check all fluids, and it's time to try to start this thing. There's a lot more story here. It was a rough drive back to town. My transmission was glitching. I didn't know what gear it was in half the time. We made it back to the major turn into Moab, and the Jeep had enough. We turned on our towing flashers, doubled up a tow strap, and headed for the Airbnb. That night, we opened everything up and let the desert do its magic. In the morning, we tore open every panel, pulled carpets, pulled seats, opened every connector, and let it sit all day in the desert heat. By the afternoon, KARL the Jeep was back in action. I can't even believe it. Yeah, we toasted a whole bunch of electrical components. We had 2 more weeks on the road, so I just kept ordering new parts and shipping them to Airbnbs, going to car parts stores, all the above. I got it all working again. I'm so lucky. Don't do that. Well, thanks for watching another video, guys. There's a whole bunch more coming out here in the next couple weeks and months. Stay tuned. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to be let know when they keep coming. And thanks again. Stay out of the river, guys.